Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to Osquery office hours. It is late May. There's not a lot of us, so we may kick some items into next week, but there's probably at least a couple things we could talk about. Announcements or highlights. I don't think I have anything. If other people do. Okay. Questions, issues, PRs, anything people want to discuss that doesn't merit an agenda item? I'm guessing probably not.
Well, I think it was last weekend. I did look through some PRs. I think you opened. Some of them were kind of like hardening PRs. Were we holding on those, or did they need a review?
I think I needed to circle back on a couple of them. So a lot of the hardening PRs that I opened with LLM help. Are these the ones that I left in draft, or are these ones that were not in draft?
I'm looking. Yeah, they look like they're one of them is in draft. You have
So
one that's not. Yeah.
yeah. Anything that I left in draft, I had not reviewed carefully enough to convince myself it was correct. A couple of them had some test failures that I thought were legit. These were LLM created, so I kind of ran out of time to like really polish them up. So we merged some and didn't get to all of them. Picking those up would probably be good. I think that none were super complicated. I think Zach wanted me to tweak something in one, and I did, and we haven't revisited it. I don't know. Like, you could review them and have opinions about them, right? There's stuff like that. Yeah, so none of them, if they're open, then we didn't reject them. But if they were sort of sitting around, it may have just been like, I ran out of time.
It looked good, but that was a casual look.
Yeah, that's sort of where I was on them too. I was like, yeah, this looks about right. But some of them I was like, oh, I really want to think about this. And I think one of the ones that was like moving things over to try to had some test failures. So, yeah, stuff like that. The test cycle is pretty slow for Osquery, especially cross-platform tests. So it's a little hard to get a real fast agent loop going.
Do we not have a good enough coverage in CI? Is that why?
The CI loop is slow.
Oh, that part of that's what you mean.
Right, like I can't just anyhow. Like it's a 4-hour CI job.
Yeah.
Anyhow. Yeah, I can try and pick those up. But they're there. I do. You reported several security issues.
I did. I gave you a little appetizer.
Yeah. Do you want, like, do you have PRs? Do you want just one of us to try and fix them? I'm not sure where you're going yet.
I'm including remediation suggestions with the PRs, but it's I won't say trivial, but sometimes one line fix or like just nothing that should take more than an hour to fix if I've explained it correctly. I've hopefully explained it correctly.
No, let me ask that differently. Are you in a position that you want to create PRs, or for whatever reason, are you avoiding that?
Well, there's an additional step for me to do that. So we have some that I was going to report with full detail explanation, not a PR, and then others that I was hoping to report with a PR that I haven't done yet. So those were forthcoming.
Okay. So if you haven't put a PR in, it was because you thought it was boring and easy, and not because like you're constrained against putting in PRs and you would really like other people to.
I'm not like categorically denied or whatever.
Okay.
It's just there's some that it takes us a long time. It's not I guess it takes us a long time to get everyone updated with something that we change, and then I wouldn't want that to go slower than the security process with you.
Okay.
I
I'm
try,
not,
it's like coordination thing.
yeah, I don't know. I think you're saying like if there's a simple enough remediation, we should just PR it and it doesn't matter.
Anything I report as soon as you have availability, and if you would like more conversation and explanation, I can weigh in on that. The ones that I'm reporting, I've already manually reviewed and understand well. So I'm not reporting anything that comes straight from the machine. But I did remove myself from any kind of credits. Like you can leave these as like Osquery findings or something, and they don't have to be like reported by so and so.
I mean, whatever. I'm mostly interested in getting it fixed. So, if you want to throw PRs in, that's cool. If you want to just leave them like this, like, whatever makes sense to you. I think it's fine. Do y'all patch your own fork, or is it not?
Yeah. So maybe we talk about it off the recording.
I'm just going to, yeah, we'll talk about it later. Okay. So the other things I wrote down are sort of things that just came up over the last week and a half, but maybe we want to be talking about it with Zach too. So I'll just mention them and we can kind of decide. One of them is we have a PR to support FreeBSD.
That's what I was about to ask about. yeah, that looks neat. I saw your comment. The reason we removed it was not just due to the CI, but because we had lost it from Meta, but also they were moving to Buck, and Buck did not have FreeBSD support, so they just dropped it completely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. They don't seem to be thrilled about the CLA, I think. I don't know. I don't know where you stand on the third-party libraries thing. And yeah, I don't know. It's going to be different, and it's going to be. I mean, it could be an unsupported release, if you will, if you want to merge it, where we basically try not to break it. I don't know. Where do you stand on this?
My feeling, okay, so one, I think the CLA is non-negotiable. I think they have to sign the CLA. And if this person is like, no, I have my cookies and browsing so broken and I refuse to deal with any of this, then we can't. I don't think we can't. That's one I don't think we can bend.
Yeah, I agree.
I think from a project health perspective, it is important that we have a CI story. Because I feel like we've kind of been bitten by that in the past. And some prior conversation, we sort of concluded we had to have CI on stuff. We could maybe talk about that, but I feel like I don't know. I get real nervous with CI, and I don't know if there are good options here for like running FreeBSD and Docker, so that there could. I don't know what our options are.
The changes I'm proposing.
I agree on the CI. I would not ever mark something as stable unless CI.
I don't even want the code in if there isn't CI, because like there's no way for us to have a lot of confidence in it if there's no way for us to run a build or a basic test on it. So I get real nervous about having random code floating around that like isn't even exercised in CI. Like what happens if in 6 months we decide we want FreeBSD and then we discover we have all this dead FreeBSD code that doesn't even work, and maybe that's overstating it because it's like, I don't know, in 6 months, it's all going to be robots anyhow. So who cares?
No, I was thinking about like a separate branch out of main or something. I don't know, but yeah, it makes sense not to take it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's this question of like static versus dynamic and libraries, and that one I feel like we have a little bit more wiggle room on. Like I feel like Arch isn't using our libraries.
Yeah.
But I don't think Arch is in our code base. I think they maintain that as a fork.
Yes, it is external, not officially supported.
So I feel like there's sort of a route where, yeah, I don't. That's like another conversation that I flagged is like, how do we think about static versus dynamic? You know, or shipping our libraries versus other ones. Like, do we want to include? Do we want? I think I'm also more sympathetic to Arch, who came at it and said, you know, it's a really strong project ethos to basically always use the libraries in the project. So we're going to fork Osquery. Can you please make it easy for us? It's kind of what they said.
Mhm.
Whereas this PR seems to be, screw y'all. I did the easy thing for me.
No, I guess it is in the core principles that you would need to be able to just download the binary and it should work. Now there are some exceptions there sometimes, but I think that was the rationale that we have always followed. So yeah, that's why I was thinking about like a separate branch or something.
I mean, a separate branch, we could just encourage them, like, you can maintain your own fork. But like, I also want to support people, and I don't know, bringing FreeBSD back could be cool. But I don't know, it's just all these things around like we need CI, and I think we'd really want to figure out how to handle our dependencies the same way we do everything else.
I remember we had some FreeBSD users in the past. I wonder what happened to.
I mean, I'm flabbergasted there are any FreeBSD users left. I mean, I think even Apple finally deprecated all the NetBSD devices.
Oh, okay.
My memory is some of the old airports were NetBSD based.
Airports.
Yeah, the base station.
Those were the brand name for the wireless access points.
Yeah, a friend of mine worked on those, so he did their kernels, I think.
Well, he did a good job. I was a big fan.
But yeah, my understanding is that NetBSD is finally gone. So I don't know. I feel like I've been struggling with this a little bit, and that particular PR doesn't make it easy to say yes. So I don't know. I'm curious where Zach falls down on this.
Yeah, the CLI response is not the best, I'd say. But
I suggest maybe ask nicely about the CLA, and if they're opposed to it, that we not spend additional time trying to support FreeBSD. We have, CI as an excuse, but CLA is probably the primary thing. Even if you had CLA and CI, would you still want to support it? That's also a question, but seems like there's no urgency.
Yeah. Dovetails to the next topic. Okay, so let's see. So I think you're right, Mike. We don't think there's urgency here. And we should nudge a bit more for CI and CLA support. And thus defer the party library question. Okay. Which the second thing I wrote down was sort of the static versus dynamic conversation, which I don't know. I feel like I'd rather have that with more people. And then I also wrote down in some related to that other security thing, someone reported to us some discussion about the semantics of file carving. So there's sort of like these questions around, like, were you on this thread? I can't remember. I don't think you were.
I believe that I get the notifications, but I don't think I was in the thread.
Okay. There was some discussion about the user reported to us that carves write things into a temp directory, which is user readable. So that's an issue. And then they had sort of some other thing, and then we were like, that doesn't sound like a problem. Carves will follow symlinks. And one of the things that this raised, at least to me, is if you carve something that is a symlink, we do not return any metadata that tells you that that's what happened. So I think we should still return the content. We should still follow symlinks, but I think it's worthwhile surfacing metadata about like, this was a symlink. And maybe we also like don't want to carve FIFOs or something.
Yeah, that's well, we could talk about that later too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like we probably only want to carve regular files. And that is an oversight, is probably just an oversight. Like we should never really bother trying to carve KMM or something. So I think that's just a simple PR to fix, and I just don't think anyone ever.
Is there a way to configure the temporary directory for the carver? I've never looked into the carver so far.
I don't know. I similarly, Collide doesn't use the carver, so we've never put any thought into it.
We did have some functions, helpers in the code base to manage permissions for certain cases. I wonder if like one of the fixes could be to enforce proper permissions when creating the temporary directory.
Yeah, I don't know. We should make sure we're using them. That's everything I wrote down for an agenda. I'm going to pull some of these into an agenda for next week, when maybe we'll have some more people, because I feel like it's worth revisiting them. Are there other things people would like to talk about?
Well, I asked on a pull request from Stefano from 2023. It's called Disable TLS 1 and 1.1. And it was closed and then reopened in 2024. I guess I'm surprised we didn't already deprecate these things. Does anyone know the state of that?
I don't have much info about it.
What poll? Do you know what
It's
number?
PR 8213. So I assume that it's disabled already in the allowable ciphers or in a TLS config, perhaps. This was to also drop from the CMake for OpenSSL support for those old versions.
Riff shouldn't matter. Well, unless it's a build time thing, because we don't support thrift over TLS anyhow.
Right. But I guess it wasn't compiling against this OpenSSL if you didn't compile in these outdated code modules, I suppose. And so it looked like this PR was attempting to remove those code modules from OpenSSL and then having it, I guess it wasn't going to build. So that's why it was in draft. So I don't know if this PR is maybe just unnecessary because the TLS config is already appropriate, or if, there was an intent to come back to this or what.
You'd have to ask Stefano.
Yeah. Okay.
I wonder also.
No, I'm sorry, my cat.
I wonder about the curl table. Right, because the curl table, the curl table, like, should the curl table support TLS 1.1.0?
I don't think anything should.
I
think
appreciate
it's like known. It's known to be useless. I think easily.
Well, I mean,
easily broken.
So is CentOS 7.
If you can't curl from a server that doesn't support 1.2, maybe you should. It shouldn't just.
I don't feel strongly about it, honestly.
I think it comes up in a lot of audits I've seen.
I'm sure that's why Stefano brought it up, right? I would be game. Like, have we upgraded Thrift recently? Because we could upgrade Thrift and then see if this matters, or we could see how we change Thrifts. Like, I'm sure I have a hard time believing that we couldn't patch Thrift to still build. So, like, if you thought it was worth revisiting this, it seems like I wouldn't stop it, is what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm going to ask Claude right now. Is it necessary to do this, or if it's just code paths that are never exercised?
Like, if this showed up as a PR, I would approve it. Like, I don't think I would care.
Well, if I'm reading the PR comment correctly, it seems like trying to remove this part of OpenSSL causes something else to break, and so it may not be as simple as just don't compile in TLS 1.0 support, right?
Oh, I mean, except that no one's tried in 2 years.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Maybe it is that simple now, right?
Well, it would be strange that we vendor Thrift and we can't make a small change like, I don't know, don't require TLS 1.0 in the build since it's already.
No, I'm agreeing with you, right? Like, if we can make this PR pass CI, I would have no qualms merging it.
Yeah.
Right, and I agree. Maybe we'll have to change something else, but it seems totally reasonable to me.
We do have the patching system to the CMake build, so you can just ship a patch, and it will, I think, if I remember correctly, duplicate the source folder to the build directory and then re-import it with the patch applied. So yeah, we should be able to do it.
Okay. Other things you want to talk about in our meeting? If not, we can end Osquery office hours. Okay, I'm going to end Osquery office hours as soon as I find our recording button.